you're not all going to fall asleep after lunch. Just as a preamble, I've put some cards there, my business cards there, because if anybody wants to get in touch with me about anything afterwards, just feel free to email, phone, whatever. So, yes, my name is Lynne Campbell. I hope you can all hear me at the back. I have been told I have a very loud voice. I shouldn't really need a telephone, but I'm the empty homes officer at South Lakeland District Council in the Lake District. I love my job. I've been doing it for over 3 years now. I have to say, empty homes work is very much suited to people that like to be nosy and good detectives, and I've been told I fit that role quite well. Yeah, you need to be nosy, you need your detective skills, because as Mike was saying this morning, you really need to find out a lot of information from neighbours, and it is amazing what a neighbour will tell you. Sometimes you go, well, don't tell anybody that I told you this. That's always worth knowing. But generally, yeah, they're a very good source. And the other thing, just to again confirm what Mike was saying about the photos, but the photos really work well. They're great evidence for afterwards, as well as evidence from neighbours. That really helps you, especially if you end up going down the enforcement route. So I'm going to talk about how to set up a matchmaker scheme today. Again, empty homes work, it's very much shared between different empty homes offices and different councils. Especially in England, it can be quite an isolating job because you're working within your own council on this work. And so if somebody else has already figured out something that works at their council, then why reinvent the wheel? So we share a lot of information between each other, and I would hope it goes the same way between Scotland and English counterparts, that we all share, because there's a lot of good stuff out there. So actually, this matchmaker scheme, I can admit now, it wasn't me. Originally, it actually came from South Derbyshire. I was watching an empty homes series and saw a lady called Lynne Campbell talk about one she was running there, and I thought, well, I wonder if that could work up our area. So that's exactly what we did. We gave it a try, and I'm pleased to say that I've actually been approached by a lot of other local authorities, even big London ones, to set up a scheme as well, especially these days where we're running out of grant money, loan money, or any other financial incentives. It's another thing, another option for your empty homes owners. So rather than saying, no, actually we don't really offer a lot, you can actually now say we do this, it's easy to set up. So I'm going to be talking today about how to attract your empty homeowners and how to attract your buyers to the scheme, the benefits of the scheme to the owners and the buyers, and potential benefits of having a scheme for the community and the council as well, especially in these days of localism. And I'm happy to answer your questions at the end of Elaine's presentation next on Developer Days. So first of all, where is South Lakeland? Well, as you can see, it's in the Lake District in northwest England, beautiful part of the country. It's north of Lancashire and it's west of Yorkshire. And it lies in the county of Cumbria. There's 6 local authorities and our county council is Cumbria County Council. Actually, in the western part of the Lake District, there's actually more sheep than people. But there's still lots of empty homes there. Each local authority has different housing issues. For example, the average house price in South Lakeland is approximately £200,000, whereas in another part of the county you can still pick up a property for £32,000. Quite different issues, really. Within South Lakeland itself, we've got 2 national parks, which just makes it a bit more interesting when you come to planning issues. We've got Lake District National Park, as its own planning authority, and we've also got part of the Yorkshire Dales National Park as well. And South Lakeland itself is a mixture of towns like Kendal, and you might have heard of Kendal Mintley, and Windermere, and little places like Coniston and Grasmere, where there's an awful lot of second homes, holiday homes. It's quite an issue. There's quite a few lakes and quite a few mountains, lots of walkers and tourists. You might even visit it yourself, and of course there's lots of sheep. And it does rain quite a lot to help keep the lakes full. Yeah, beautiful scenery like this is one of the reasons why people like to visit the area. And some decide to stay and buy a second home. In fact, I had a lady on the phone the other week when I sent out my empty home letter and questionnaire, and she was quite angry at me because I'd sent her an empty home letter and questionnaire, and didn't I know she didn't have an empty home, she had a second home. So I apologised and said, I'm very sorry, is it okay for me to tell council tax that? Yes, of course, I've had it for ages. So she gave me her number, and when she spoke to council tax, it turned out it had been a second home for quite a few years. So actually the way it works at our council is if it's empty over 6 months, they get a 50% discount. But if it's a second home, they get a 10% discount. So she is now paying an extra 40% council tax. And the good news is it can be backdated 6 years. So, you know, when you're talking to council tax people, do try and say to them, okay, you scratch my back, I scratch yours. And this is how we can actually help you. You give us this information and we can get back to you. You can bring in more revenue, etc., etc. Then also we'll help you data cleanse, another word, but we'll help you basically get your information more accurate. So that usually goes down quite well too. And this is another lovely view. In fact, this could even be one of my empty homeowners thinking about what he's going to do with his empty home. Maybe I can persuade him to join my matchmaker scheme. You never know. So yeah, this area's got lots of second homes, and particularly in the Lake District National Park. This can push up house prices quite substantially for local people and leads to a shortage of affordable housing, which is our big issue in our area. The other thing in our area is that wages can be quite low, so people are having to move further and further out of the area to get an affordable house, which is a shame. We've also got lots of hotel and catering businesses, and the wages tend to be quite low there too. At the moment, in the Lakes, there's approximately 1,000 empty homes. There's over 5,000 applicants on the council's housing list at the moment. And the recession's obviously hit empty homeowners as well as ordinary homeowners. For example, from 2008 to 2009, when the recession started to take hold, I found that quite a few of my empty homes had been for sale for several years at that time. They just weren't selling. Owners had less money to repair their homes as well, they were telling me, and buyers had less money to buy property. So they were looking to buy a cheap place and renovate. It was a way of doing it on a low budget. So setting up a matchmaker scheme, when I saw this one on the telly, I thought, well, that could be a good idea. That could help my owners sell their homes another way. And I didn't want to be an estate agent. Didn't want to be part of the sales negotiation process either. Just wanted to help match up people who wanted to buy an empty home with those who wanted to sell. So it seemed like a good idea. I thought also in theory that homes that needed renovation should sell for less as well, so that buyers on a low budget had a chance to buy at a lower price and then do them up. So how do you begin to set up your matchmaker scheme, and how do you attract your empty homeowners? Well, first of all, we thought about the name. The name in South Lakeland was the matchmaker scheme. So we did sort of chew over other names like the intermediary or the go-between, but we thought it sounded more like names for a spy novel. So we asked, could we just keep the name the same? And in fact, anybody else I've talked to has just keep the same name, because it does what it says on the tin, really. The first thing that I did was talk to our IT group, because you'll each have different systems, and your website as well. They're all slightly different, and my one's set out differently from the South Derbyshire one, for example, just because of the IT systems and the website design. So you want to discuss a format for your scheme first. How are you going to add your photos and your details of your homes for sale? How are people going to download forms to join the scheme? The other thing I did was set up a separate email address so I could identify all the interest I got back. So I just called my email address empty.homes@, so that's quite a good one, really, I think. So the first thing you want to do is write to your empty homeowners to promote the benefits of joining the scheme. So you want to tell them it's free, a big plus, and they've got nothing to lose by joining it, and they don't have to renovate their property first. I think that's the thing with estate agents. People tend to feel that the property has to be in good condition before they sell it, whereas with this scheme it doesn't matter. Also, you can tell them that you've got a list of people who specifically want to buy an empty home. Well, I didn't at that point, but you know, you gradually build that list up. So, and you could also contact your landlords for them as well. Interest your landlords. Keep your joining forms simple for the seller and the buyer. Make them easy to fill in. So this is actually one of our empty homes for sale. It's a lovely little cottage in a terrace in a little town called Sedbergh, and it's selling for £160,000, which is quite a good price there. So what's the benefits to empty home owners? Well, the scheme's free to join, so owners have got nothing to lose by joining the scheme. That's a major thing I always stress to them. They have nothing to lose, it's free. So the scheme is going to attract people specifically wanting to buy an empty home, individuals, local builders and developers wanting to buy and renovate. Your owners can still sell through their estate agent, so it's not taking business away from local estate agents. It's completely up to you whether you include the name of the estate agent or not. My council wanted me to include it, but the South Derbyshire one, they weren't bothered, so she doesn't include it. I think the advantage to not including the name of the estate agent is that you're then forcing people to come through you, whereas because I've got the estate agent name there, you won't actually ever know possibly what the person's gone direct to the estate agent. They might have read about it on your site and thought, I'll go to that estate agent. But at the end of the day, you're still going to have a reoccupied empty home. But the other thing to just emphasise to them is that they can sell the property as it is, that they don't need to renovate. That's be particularly attractive to families that have inherited a property, because mainly they just want to sell it and get some money, and they don't really want to be spending money on repairs. They also really don't want to be spending money on their council tax either. And also just to tell them that it's easy for them to fill in the form and join the scheme. And then you've got to attract your buyers as well. The best thing to do that is the publicity route, really. And you can never have too much publicity for this scheme. It's amazing how your local community, your MP, local media, they really do latch on to this scheme. It's a really good one. Your members love it as well. A real feel-good scheme. First thing we did was we did a press release, and that was picked up by TV, radio, and a local paper. It's a great opportunity to also tell people about housing issues in your area as well, and that they know the council's trying to do something about them. One of our press releases we did led to an approach by BBC Northwest, who were very interested in the scheme, and they also wanted to talk about empty homes in general. And I didn't hear till about 2 minutes before the interview that it was going to be a live broadcast, which I'd never done before. I don't know if I want to do it again, but I did live to tell the tale. And you just have to remember with TV that they've all got their own angle and they all want to edit it their way. The only good thing about a live interview is it goes out just exactly as it is. Whereas the edited one that went out on the evening bulletin had been slanted quite a lot, made into a bigger story, but slanted towards the presenter's angle. So, all TV, you've got a plus and a minus. I still think it's worth doing, but we were also approached by BBC's One Show as well, because it's something that really appeals to people, is matching up, finding buyers in an empty home and getting them to move in or be interested or look around it. And so you will get a lot of interest from it, which is great. I mean, it's not costing you anything. They're going to give you free publicity. If you've got a council newspaper or magazine, use that as well to advertise it. Put it on your website. Set yourself up with a Matchmaker web page as well, and housing site. And put this on it, and put the forms on it as well, the joining forms. Use your reception area of your council as well to advertise. For example, we've got just a wee TV screen that sits on the counter, and it shows the Matchmaker homes for sale and buyers requirements on a looped presentation, and people just love to goggle, especially if they're waiting in a queue. They're like, and I get a lot of people that then ring me upstairs and say, I've seen a home I'm interested in. And so, it's another way of advertising it. I've also got a wall display of the empty homes for sale, because people like different media, don't they? They're attracted to different things. Contact your local MP if you've not already contacted them, and tell them about it, because again, it's a real feel-good thing, and it's good for them to know. I always let the members know as well what's going on, and some of them are particularly interested in empty homes in their area, so I get quite a lot of them their contact as well. Again, promote the benefits of joining to your buyers. People can be cautious at first with anything new, so you need to encourage them by emphasising the benefits of them joining. That they can buy cheap and renovate, they'll get vacant possession, nothing to lose, it's free. And contact your local builders and developers as well and ask if they'd like to join your scheme as buyers and promote the benefits to them. So start compiling your list of interested investors. Unusually, we've one of our interested investors is actually a charity, a local homeless charity, and they were looking for a big building, so it had to be a minimum of 3 bedrooms. And so they were looking through the scheme as well. So you will get a mix of people interested in buying your empty homes. And this is just sorry, there should be some there it is. This is just an example of what some of my buyers' requirements, what they're looking for. I just give each one a code, just sort of property that they're looking for. Just keep it very short, the sort of area they're looking for. Try and get them to be specific and not just go anywhere, as I have had people say. Budget range, again, try and pin them down. And it's the same with the ones that are selling. I had one guy that said to me, "Oh, price negotiable." But it just caused so many problems. I don't advise you doing that, because any price that any potential buyers are put in touch with him, it was never enough. So, he always wanted more. He was just getting a bit greedy. So just make sure you have a price there. And then I get them to say if there's any further comments, like some of them, yeah, look for a renovation project. Somebody wanted a studio and an extra bit of workspace, because one of them was a silversmith and the other one was was a poet. Like the Heart Lights, so that was unusual. Also on your joining forms for your buyers and your sellers, make sure you include a bit about, if you're approached by the media, would they be interested in taking part? Because I learnt that the hard way through where we were first approached by, well, the likes of the One Show, and I had to phone around my different buyers and my different sellers and ask them would they like to take part. And some people just aren't up for publicity, and some really are, and some really wanted to use it to make points about the lack of affordable housing in our area, which was fine. So if you just put a little tick box around your form, it's a good idea. And this is another of my empty homes for sale. It's like a different part of the Lake District. There's a nice little tarn just down the way from that, a stretch of water. This one's had a few viewings through the Matchmaker scheme, but it hasn't sold yet. So what are your benefits to the council and the community of running such a scheme as this? Well, obviously it's another way for your council to help empty homeowners reoccupy their empty homes. So it's something else to add to your empty homes options you can offer your owners. Once you've initially set up a scheme, it is easy to run and it's very low cost. It sends out a positive message both to your owners and the community. It shows the council can also use the carrot approach rather than just a big stick of enforcement. It can help to highlight empty homes issues in your area and lack of affordable housing. And by attracting buyers to renovate empty homes in disrepair, it can help transform neglected entities and may lead to less complaints from the public and more pleasant neighbourhoods to live in. Localism at work. So what lessons did I learn on my journey? Well, I would say the best thing about the scheme is you can tailor it to suit your area and housing needs. I gave this similar presentation to this in London a couple of years ago, and one of the questions was, I live in an area of very little vandalism, and actually I don't think there's been one instance of squatting in our area either. But when I was in London, I obviously had a lot of city areas and areas of deprivation, and one of the questions I was asked was, what do you do, we'd like to run a scheme in our area, what do you do about squatters? And I think the best answer to that was, which actually amazingly managed to think of at the time, was when I've got pictures of each of the empty homes, you can just use like a generic photo, and then the details about the property. Obviously don't put the address where it's for sale, but you can still put in details about the property. And again, it's about matching up your buyers, so you've got that information, matching up the two together. So that could be a way around it for them. So, and make sure that you keep your joining forms nice and simple. I have mine both in electronic form you can download from the Matchmaker page on the website, but I've also got paper ones because not everybody's on the internet, even now. You need to update your information on your owners and your buyers regularly, write to them regularly and ask them, just do a simple little tick box tear off thing that they can send back to you to find out, for example with the buyers, they might have bought somewhere in the meantime and just not told you, so you kind of have to be a bit proactive with that. You need to also check for possible matches every time you get a new seller or a new buyer. Update your Matchmaker website regularly. So I've learned another bit of software called immediacy, and that is apparently what our website's run by. So I have control of that. It's quite good to get that, because it means that if you get regular information in which you do some weeks from new buyers wanting to join or empty home owners, then you can actually do that yourself. So it's quite nice to be in control of that. Generally speaking, with this scheme, the more publicity you can get, the better. The more the scheme will work, the more empty home owners you'll attract, the more buyers you'll attract. You can never get enough publicity. Yeah, give each home and each buyer, give them each a code always. And I call my sellers, I start off with S001, just keep it nice and simple. Otherwise you can get a bit muddled between the properties, especially when you get same sort of names. I had two at one stage, both in a park road, and they were both completely different towns. So you really need the codes. Yeah, and remember, you're not an estate agent, so basically I'm just here to literally just match up buyer with seller. The rest is up to them, really. I'm not a part of that. But I do ask them to keep me advised of any progress or any sale. So I was saying in the meantime, have a look at other matchmaker sites on the internet. There's one with a council called Cambridge District Council, and it looks exactly the same as my one. Sefton Council, which is a Liverpool-based one, they've set it up a slightly different way, which is also a good one to look at too. So I also say look at Kristen's quick reference guide to matchmaker schemes on the Empty Homes Network, and you'll see different ways that you can match up buyers and sellers. That's really down to you when you do that. And again, as well, run developer days for your interested investors, and that's what Elaine's going to talk about next. Thank you. And we're going to answer questions after Elaine's presentation.